Rule examination of a child witness. Introduction. By the virtue of the rule-making power granted to the Supreme Court emanating from the Constitution, together with our country's adoption as the 31st signatory to the United Nations Convention of Human Rights of the Child Convention, which embodies an inclusive affirmation and worldwide recognition of children's rights. Our Supreme Court promulgated the rule on examination of the child. So, in short, dahil sa kapangyarihan na ibinigay ng Constitution of the Supreme Court na gumawa ng mga laws or batas, at dahil sumali na rin ang ating bansa or ang Pilipinas sa 31st signatory sa United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child na nagtataguyod ng mga karapatan ng bata. So, gumawa yung Supreme Court ng Rule on the Examination of a Child para mas maprotektahan and also mapaangalagaan ang mga bata sa legal proceedings. Witness Rule, the which acknowledges the special concerns of the child witnesses that needs to be addressed while testifying before the criminal, civil, or legislative and administrative proceeding. Comments from April A. Guerrero on the Justice Oscar Herrera's book on comments on the rule on examination of a child witness. So, ang rule ng examination of a child witness is ginawa siya para nga syempre maprotektahan ng mga batang witness habang sila ay nagsabi ng kanilang salaysay or testimony in criminal, civil, legislative, or administrative cases man yan. So, in-acknowledge nito na may special needs and concern ang mga bata kaya dapat may maingat at naayon na paraan ng pagkuha ng questions and pagkuha ng testimony nila. Before the passing of on the Convention on the Rights of the Child, the same commentator quoted Justice Puno on the doctrine of the best interest of the child, enshrined in its reform initiatives for children. The standard of best interest of the child in the system of adjudication for youthful offenders can be sustained by doctrine of parens patriae of the important duty of the government to act for the state as the guardian of the rights of the people. So, bago pa man maipasa yung Convention on the Rights of the Child, sinabi na ni Justice Puno na ang best interest of the child ay dapat laging unahin sa mga kaso ng kabataan. So, nakabatay ito sa doktrina ng parens patriae na ang ibig sabihin niya is tungkulin ng ating ang gobyerno na kumilos bilang tagapangalaga ng mga karapatan at kapakanan ng bata kapag sila ay tumatayo bilang testigo. The aforementioned author also identified the five important laws that were created in relation with the trust of the said convention, namely a Republic Act 7610, or the act providing for a strong deterrence and special protection against child abuse, exploitation, and for other purposes. So the letter B is Presidential Decree number 603, also known as Child and Youth Welfare Code. So ayon sa author, so may limang five laws important na ginawa na siyempre kaugnay siya sa rights of the child. So yung dalawa dito is yung RA 7610. So ang ibig sabihin siya is nagbibigay siya ng proteksyon laban sa child abuse, exploitation, so at iba pang mga pang-aabuso sa mga bata. So yung pangalawa naman is PD 603, no? So kilala bilang Child and Youth Welfare Code na naglalayong itaguyod ang kapakanan at karapatan ng mga bata at kabataan. Republic Act number 9262, also known as VAUSI. Letter D, Republic Act number 9344, also known as Act Establishing a Comprehensive Juvenile Justice and Welfare System. And letter E is Republic Act number 8369, an Act establishing family courts, granting them exclusive original jurisdiction over the child and family cases, amending Batas Pambansa 129 Rule on the Examination of the Child Witness, date effectivity. Rule shall take effect on December 15 following its publication in two newspapers of general circulation. So, ang letter C po natin is the Republic Act number 9262 or which is the VAUSI, no, na nagpaprotekta po sa ating kababaihan at mga bata laban sa karahasan sa tahanan. And letter D naman is Republic Act number 9344 naman is ang nagtatag or kumbaga doon establish yung comprehensive juvenile justice welfare system para sa mga batang nagkakasala na nakatuon sa na naka-base siya sa rehabilitation ng mga bata imbes na parusahan sila. Ang letter E naman is the Republic Act number 8369, so which is so parang dito is gumawa sila ng family courts na special jurisdiction. Ang special jurisdiction nito is yung mga kaso tungkol sa bata and also the family of the child. And then yung rule on the examination of child witness is effective siya noong December 15, 2000 and after ng publication sa two newspapers. And then next is the rule on the examination of child witness, date of effectivity. So ito na nga yun, nag-take effect siya nung December 15 following its publication into two newspapers of general circulations. No, doon na nag-start na nag-take effect ang ating rule on examination of a child witness. So the section 1 is applicability. Unless otherwise provided, this rule shall govern the examination of child witness who are victims of a crime, number 2, accused of a crime, and then number 3 is witness of the crime. So si section 1 ang ang pinaka kabuuan niya is para ito sa mga bata na naging victims of the crime, so naakusahan ng krimen and also yung naging witness kung ano man yung nakita nila sa isang krimen. Section number 2, objectives. Applies in all criminal proceedings and non-criminal proceedings involving child witness. So the unang bracket is create and maintain an environment that will allow children to give reliable and complete evidence, no? So dito kailangan mabigyan sila ng ligtas at maayos na kapaligiran para makapagsabi sila ng totoo and kumpletong salaysay regarding sa kung ano man yung nakita nila sa crime. And pangalawa is minimize trauma to children, no? Para mabawasan yung trauma ng bata habang sila ay nagtetestigo. So number 3 naman is encourage children to testify in legal proceeding, no? Para mahikayat natin yung bata na magsalita sa korte. And lastly, facilitate the ascertainment of truth, no? Dito para matulungan natin yung court na malaman ang katotohanan regarding sa kung anumang nangyari. Also, Section 3, construction of the rule. Liberally constructed to uphold the best interests of the child and to promote maximum accommodation of the child witness without prejudice to the constitutional rights of the accused. So si section number 3 is, ang rule na ito is dapat ipaliwanag ang karapatan ng mga bata, no, para mapangalagaan yung kanyang welfare and also mapadali yung kanyang pagiging witness, no, para nang hindi na sinasacrifice yung karapatan ng accused sa ilalim ng constitution. Section number 4, definition. So, dito sa section 4, dito nalalabas yung mga definitions. So, letter A, child witness. Any person who at the time of giving testimony is below the age of 18 years. So, dito, on child witness, no, during na nagbibigay sila ng testimony is dapat below 18 years old sila. In child abuse cases, a child includes one over 18 years but is found by the court unable to fully take care of himself to protect himself from abuse, neglect, cruelty, exploitation, or discrimination because of a physical or mental disability. So, yung child abuse is tumutukoy siya sa physical or emotional or anything na sexual na pang-aabuso sa mga bata, and also pati kriminal na pagpapabaya ayon sa RA 7610 at iba pang mga batas. Letter B, child abuse, physical, psychological, or sexual abuse and criminal neglect as defined in Republic Act 7610 and other related laws. So, you know, yung child abuse or any physical, psychological, or sexual abuse, and especially the criminal neglect, no, na naranasan ng bata is defined siya under Republic Act 7610 and other related laws. Letter C, facilitator, means a person appointed by the court to pose a question to a child. Si dito naman si facilitator is siya yung taong inappoint ng korte na siya yung magtatanong doon sa bata habang siya is nagtetestigo. Letter E, guardian ad litem. A person appointed by the court where the case is pending for a child who is a victim of, accused of, or witness to a crime and protect the best interest of the child. So, si guardian ad litem, siya naman yung taong inappoint ng korte para protektahan yung best interest of a child na biktima na nabiktima ng crime, or even siya yung victim of accused or witness to a crime para maprotektahan nga especially yung best interest of the child. Letter F, support person. A person chosen by the child to accompany him to testify at or attend a judicial proceeding for deposition to provide emotional support for him, no? So, si support system, basically ano siya, siya yung magiging emotional o parang siya yung pinili ng bata na sumama sa kanya sa korte para magbigay ng emotional support sa bata while siya ay nagtetestigo or para dumadalo siya sa process ng pagkanyang pag-witness. And best interest of the child, the totality of the circumstances and conditions as are most congenial to the survival, protection, and feelings of security of the child, and most encouraging to his physical, psychological, and emotional development. It also means the least detrimental available alternative for the safeguarding the growth and the development of the child. So, si best interest of the child is para tumutukoy siya sa mga conditions na makakabuti sa kaligtasan and also sa protection at kapanatagan ng bata na, and also nakakatulong ito sa physical, emotional at mental health ng bata na. So ito rin yung pinaka mainam na paraan para mapangalagaan yung kanyang kabuuang kapakanan or yung kanyang welfare. Letter H is developmental level. So, sa developmental level, so tumutukoy siya sa antas ng paglaki or pag-unlad ng bata. So, based siya sa kanyang physical, emotional, and mental or moral na kakayahan niya. So, si letter I naman is in-depth investigation, interview.
The court may appoint a guardian ad litem for a child who is victim of accused of a witness to a crime to promote the best interest of the child. In making the appointment, the court shall consider the background of the guardian ad litem and his familiarity with the judicial process, social service programs, and child development, giving preference to the parents of the child if qualified. The guardian ad litem may be a member of the Philippine Bar. A person who is a witness in any proceeding involving the child cannot be appointed as a guardian ad litem. Ang guardian ad litem ay parang legal guardian sa loob ng kaso. Siya ang tumutulong at nagre-represent sa bata para siguraduhin na protektado ang karapatan at kapakanan ng bata habang tumatakbo ang proseso sa korte. Narito ang mga tungkulin, responsibilities ng guardian ad litem. 1. Dapat laging present sa mga interviews, hearing, or trial para sa siguraduhin protektado ang bata. 2. Magbigay ng mga rekomendasyon sa korte kung ano ang nakabubuti sa bata. 3. May karapatan daw na makakuha o makabasa ng mga report, evaluation, at record tungkol sa bata para mas maipagtanggol ng maayos ito. Tutulong maghanap at mag-coordinate ng mga serbisyo, tulong na kailangan ng bata like counseling, medical assistant, or social service. 5. Dapat ipaliwanag sa bata na sa paraang naiintindihan nito ang tungkol sa kaso, proseso sa korte o imbestigasyon ng pulis para hindi ito malito. 6. Tutulungan ng guardian ad litem ang bata at pamilya na makayanan ang emotional o mental stress dulot ng krimen at mga proseso sa korte. Number 7, kapag magbibigay ng testimonya ang bata sa korte, pwedeng samahan siya ng guardian at ad litem habang naghihintay para hindi kabahan o matakot. Number 8, pwede siyang ma-interview ng mga saksi para mas maintindihan ang sitwasyon ng bata. Number 9, pwede siyang humiling ng karagdagang medical o psychological examination para sa bata. Example, kung may senyales na trauma o pang-abuso. Mga limitasyon ng guardian ad litem. C. The guardian ad litem shall be notified of all proceeding but shall not participate in the trial. However, he may file motion pursuant to Section 9, 10, 25, 26, 27, and 31. If the guardian ad litem is a lawyer, he may object during trial the question as of the child are not appropriate to his development level. Ibig sabihin daw po kailangang ipaalam sa guardian ad litem lahat ng proseso o hearing, kaso, pero hindi siya mismo sasali o magtatanggol sa trial. D. The guardian ad litem may communicate concern regarding the child of the court through an officer of the court designated for the purpose. Pwede niya daw pong iparating sa korte ang mga problema o pangamba tungkol sa bata, pero dapat ito ay daan sa tamang opisyal ng korte. E. The guardian ad litem shall not testify any proceeding concerning any information statement or opinion received from the child in the course of serving as a guardian ad litem unless the court finds it necessary to promote the best interest of the child. Hindi daw siya pwedeng tumistigo sa korte ng mga sinasabi o impormasyon na galing sa bata habang ginagawa niya ang tungkulin niya. F. The guardian ad litem shall be presumed to have acted in good faith in compliance with his duties described in subsection. Dapat presume na gumagawa siya ng tapat at para sa kabutihan ng bata. Section 6, Competency. Every child is presumed qualified to be a witness. However, the court shall conduct a competency examination of a child motu proprio or on motion of a party. When it finds the substantial doubt exists regarding the ability of the child to perceive, remember, communicate, distinguish truth from falsehood, or appreciate the duty to tell the truth in court. Ang bata daw po ay may kakayahang maging testigo, maliban na lang kung may matibay na dahilan para pagdudahan ito. A. Proof of necessity. A party seeking a competency examination must present proof of necessity of competency examination. The age of the child by itself is not a sufficient basis for a competency examination. Kung gusto ng isang panig na ipa-examine ang bata, kailangan nilang magpatunay na may matibay na dahilan. Burden of proof. To rebut the presumption of competence enjoyed by a child, the burden of proof lies on the party challenging his competence. May kakayahan daw ang bata na magsalita ng totoo at maging testigo. D. Conduct of examination. Examination of a child as to his competence shall be conducted only by the judge. Counsel for the parties, however, can submit question to the judge that he may in his discretion as the child. Judge lang daw po ang pwedeng magsagawa ng competency examination sa bata. E. Developmentally appropriate question. The question asked at the competency examination shall be appropriate to the age and developmental level of the child, shall not be related to the issues at trial, and shall focus on the ability of the child to remember, communicate, distinguish between truth and falsehood, and appreciate the duty to testify truthfully. Ang mga ang mga tanong ay dapat daw po ay simple at akma sa edad ng bata. F. Continuing duty to assess competence. The court has the duty of continuously assessing the competence of the child throughout his testimony. Dapat daw, habang tumitestigo daw po ang bata, ay patuloy pa rin sinusuri ng korte kung kaya pa rin niyang magsalita ng tapat at maayos.
Section 7. Oath or affirmation. Before testifying, a child shall take an oath or affirmation to tell the truth. So, sinasabi dito, kailangan munang mangako ng bata na lahat ng sasabihin niya ay puro katotohanan lamang. So, Section 8 naman ay examination a child witness. The examination of a child witness during hearing or any legal proceeding must occur in open court unless the witness is unavailable to speak or the question requires an alternative form of response. The witness's answers should be provided orally. However, the party shall presenting the child witness or the guardian ad litem representing the child may request the court to permit the witness to testify in a manner specified by this rule. So, ang ibig sabihin naman dito, kapag tinatanong ang isang batang witness sa korte o sa anumang legal na pagdinig na dapat ito ay gawin sa harap ng lahat. Tapos kung kaya niya magsalita, dapat oral o pasalita niyang sagutin ang mga tanong. Pero kung ang bata ay hindi makapagsalita, kailangan gumamit ng ibang paraan para makasagot ang bata. Maaaring humiling ang abogado o tagapangalaga ng bata na payagan ng korte ang ibang paraan ng pagtatanong o pagsagot sa bata. So sa section 9 naman, interpreter for child. A. When a child does not understand the English or Filipino language or is unable to communicate in said languages due to his developmental level, fear, shyness, disability, or other reason, an interpreter whom the child can understand and who understands the child may be appointed by the court, motu proprio or upon motion to interpret for the child. So, ang ibig sabihin naman dito sa Section 9, letter A, kung ang bata hindi marunong magsalita ng English o Tagalog, o may problema siya sa sa takot, sa hiya, o meron siyang kapansanan, dapat magkanda kang magbigay ang korte ng interpreter para maintindihan rin ng bata at saka makapagsalita rin bata ng maayos. Letter B naman, if a witness or member of the family of the child is the only person who can serve as an interpreter for the child, he shall not be disqualified and may serve as the interpreter of the child. The interpreter, however, who is also a witness, shall testify ahead of the child. So, parang ang dating naman nito ay, kung pamilya o mag-anak lang ng bata ang tanging pwedeng mag-interpret ng sinasabi ng bata, kahit siya ay saksi. Pero kung ganun, mauna-una siya dapat na mag-testify, dapat rin siyang mangako na lahat ng sasabihin niya ay totoo. Tapos letter C naman, an interpreter shall take an oath or affirmation to make a true and accurate interpretation. So, kagaya nga nasabi ko kanina, dapat mas mauuna ang kamag-anak na interpreter na mangako na lahat ng sasabihin niya ay puro katotohanan at di siya nagsisinungaling.
Section 10. This section addresses the special procedures to be followed when a child is called as a witness in court. It ensures that the child's well-being and ability to comprehend and respond to the question are safeguarded. Dito po sa A is, this provisions allows the court to appoint a facilitator if determines that the child cannot properly understand or respond to the question asked by lawyers. Dito po ay kukuha po siya ng facilitator na doon niya po muna tatanungin para po ipa-intindi doon sa bata yung tanong. And sino nga ba yung pwede maging facilitator? Child psychologists or psychiatrists, social workers who can understand the child backgrounds and needs, guidance counselor, teachers, and even a religious leader. And last, parent and relative. Dito po sa BI, if the facilitator is appointed, the lawyers can only ask questions to the child through the facilitator. This means that the lawyer cannot be directly asked anything. Dito po, tatanungin po yung facilitator po, hindi po yung bata. Tapos yung facilitator po, siya po yung magpapaintindi sa bata siya po yung magpapaintindi ng tanong doon sa bata. And C po, the facilitator must take an oath or affirmation to faithfully ask the question in the way they were intended by the lawyer. This ensures that the facilitator does not manipulate or distract the question, thereby maintaining fairness and integrity of the process. Dito po para po maging fair at maging maayos po yung takbo ng tanungan nila kung sakali man po.
Section 11, Support Persons. A child testifying at a judicial proceeding or making a deposition shall have the right to be accompanied by one or two persons of his own choosing to provide him emotional support. So, under this section, pinapayagan daw ang bata ng may kasama, pwedeng magulang or kamag-anak or kahit sinong pinagkakatiwalaan niya. Basta makakatulong para mas maging kalmado siya and maging comfortable siya sa pagsasalaysay. Ang purpose daw po nito is para bigyan siya ng emotional support habang nasa proseso ng pagte-testify. Kasi alam naman natin na mahirap and nakaka-pressure para sa isang bata na magsalita sa harap ng maraming tao and lalo na sa korte. So now let's tackle about the court guidelines of support persons. Both support persons shall remain within the view of the child during his testimony. Sinasabi dito na dapat nakikita ng bata yung mga support persons niya habang nagte-testify siya sa korte. One of the support persons may accompany the child to the witness stand, provided the support persons does not completely obscure the child from the view of the opposing party, judge, or hearing officers. So, in short, pwede siyang sumama para i-comfort siya, pero hindi dapat hadlangan yung proper view, testimony ng bata. Nandun lang dapat yung support persons para magbigay ng emotional support sa bata, hindi para makialam or itago ang bata. And hindi dapat natatakpan ng support persons ang bata sa paningin ng judge or hearing officers. The court may allow the support persons to hold the hand of the child or take other appropriate steps to provide emotional support to the child in the course of proceedings. So, ibig sabihin nito is, pwedeng payagan ng korte yung support persons na hawakan ang kamay ng bata or gumawa ng ibang paraan para makomfort siya habang tumatakbo yung hearing. The court shall instruct the support persons not to prompt, sway, or influence the child during his testimony. Ibig sabihin naman nito is bawal nilang diktahan o pilitin ang bata kung ano ang gusto niyang sabihin. Ang role lang nila is to give emotional support sa bata, hindi para kontrolin or baguhin ang sagot ng bata. If the support persons chosen by the child is also a witness, the court may disapprove the choice if it is sufficiently established that the attendance of the support persons during the testimony of the child would pose a substantial risk of influencing or affecting the content of the testimony of the child. Sinasabi naman dito na hindi daw pwede maging support persons ang isang witness kung nakakaapekto siya sa pagsasabi ng bata ng totoo. Ang goal daw ng rule na ito is protektahan ang credibility ng isang bata at ang fairness sa trial. If the support person, who is also a witness, is allowed by the court, his testimony shall be presented ahead of the testimony of the child. Sabi naman dito is kung pinayagan daw ng korte na maging support persons, ang isang tao na witness din sa isang kaso is kailangan muna niyang mag-testify bago ang hearing ng isang bata. So now let's proceed to section 12. Waiting area for child witnesses. The courts are encouraged to provide a waiting area for children that is separate from waiting areas used by the other persons. The waiting area for children should be furnished so as to make a child comfortable. Sabi naman dito is, Sabi sa Section 12, waiting area for child witness is nagsasabi na dapat magkaroon ng hiwalay na waiting area para sa mga batang testigo. The purpose of this is para maprotektahan ang bata at maiwasan ang stress or trauma habang hinihintay ang kanyang turn na mag-testify sa korte. Bukod pa doon, hiwalay dapat ang kanilang waiting area sa mga ibang tao, lalo na sa akusado or ibang testigo, para maiwasan ang takot or pressure sa bata.
Section 13 simply says that the courtroom should be arranged in a way that makes the child feel safe. The judge can change the seating or position of anyone in the courtroom, including the lawyers and the accused. Para hindi ma-intimidate ang bata, the child doesn't need to stay in the witness stand. They can testify from any comfortable spot, and they are not required to look at the accused. Even the judge may remove their robe if it helps the child relax. Most importantly, hindi na kailangan patunayan na traumatize ang bata bago pa bigyan ng protection. Section 14 states that the child should only testify during hours when they are well rested. Ibig sabihin, kung mas alert ang bata sa umaga, dapat sa umaga siya ipatawag. Hindi pwedeng pilitin ng bata mag-testify kapag antok, pagod, o hindi nasa tamang kondisyon. Simpleng pag-adjust ng oras ay malaking tulong para mas malinaw at maayos ang sagot ng bata. Section 15 allows the child to take breaks anytime during their testimony. Kahit ongoing pa ang questioning, the child can pause if they feel tired or overwhelmed. The younger the child, the more breaks they are allowed. This is to make sure the child does not feel pressured or exhausted while speaking. In conclusion, these sections clearly show that the justice system should protect the child above all. The goal is not just to get their testimony. It is to make sure the child speaks without fear, stress, or trauma. In short, the court must adjust to the child, hindi yung bata yung mag-a-adjust sa court.
Ang Section 16 ay testimonial aids. The court shall permit a child to use dolls, anatomically correct dolls, puppets, drawing mannequins, or any other appropriate demonstrative device to assist him in his testimony. Yung provision daw, inaalaw yung bata na mag-use ng dolls, drawings, puppets, or other visual aids to help explain their testimony in court. Ang purpose nito is to help the child communicate more clearly and comfortably, especially when describing sensitive or traumatic experiences. Section 17. Emotional security item. While testifying, a child shall be allowed to have an item of his own choosing, such as a blanket, toy, or a doll. The law allows a child to hold an item of comfort while testifying. This helps the child feel emotionally secure and reduces fear or anxiety during court proceedings. Section 18. Approaching the witness. The court may prohibit a counsel from approaching a child if it appears that the child is fearful of or intimidated by the counsel. Itong approaching the witness na to, this ensure that the child remains calm and unpressured, allowing them to testify truthfully and without fear. Section 19. Mode of questioning. The court shall exercise control over the questioning of children so as to facilitate the ascertainment of the truth. Ensure that questions are stated in a form appropriate to the developmental level of the child. Protect children from harassment or undue embarrassment, and avoid waste of time. Itong section na to, this section is aims to make the questioning process fair, respectfully, and suited to the child's capacity to understand.